We are recording. Thank you.
Okay.
We are ready to start. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the December 11th meeting of the Connecticut Paid Leave Board of Directors. I would like to call the meeting to order. I see that it is 9:02 a.m. Amber, would you kindly take attendance?
Yes, thank you, Fran. All right. Ava Bermuda Zimmerman.
Present.
Good morning, Ava.
Morning.
Isha Canada. I believe Isha's going to join us in a moment, but I will loop back around. Adrienne Cochran.
Good morning, present.
Good morning, Adrienne. Andrea Comer. I will circle back to Andrea. I believe she's going to be joining us in just a moment as well. Sheila Hummel.
Present. Good morning.
Ellen McKitterick.
Present.
Eleanor Michaels.
Present.
Fran Pastor.
Present.
David Salazar Austin.
Present.
Mike Soltis.
Present.
Molly Weston Williamson.
Present.
Holly Williams.
Present.
Janae Woods Weber. Janae Woods Weber. I'll circle back in just a moment. Justin Zartman.
Present.
Melissa Gibran.
Here.
Excellent, thank you. And I'm just going to loop back around. Has Isha Canada joined us yet? Not yet, but I will let you know when she's joined us. Andrea Comer. Not just yet. And Janae Woods Weber. Not yet, but we do have a quorum. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Amber. And I'd like to thank the members of the public that are here today joining us. Amber, would you like to identify anybody?
No,
No?
thank you,
Okay.
Fran.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's review the minutes of November 13th. Are there any corrections or any discussion? Anyone? Okay, great. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Justin. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, the motion carries. On to item 3, Dave. My understanding is that you have some background to share about this past quarter's activities that will help us better understand Horinda's presentation. Can you share that with the board?
Yes, thank you, Frank. Good morning, everybody. Before we dive into the quarterly update that Harindra Sebastian provides on behalf of Spring, I want to go over briefly in a couple of minutes private plan refunds. And we're going to go over what they are, why they happen, and why we are discussing them before we get into the actuarial update. So let's start off with the basic private plan refunds. How do they come up and what are they? So if an employer opts not to be part of the public plan, i.e. Making contributions to the CT Paid Leave Authority, then they have to have a private plan that is at least the same as the public plan. And when an employee has a private plan, it's not supposed to remit contributions to the authority because it remits them to their own insurance carrier. But what happens sometimes is that an employer does still remit contributions to the authority, even though they have a private plan. Why does this happen? From what we've been able to ascertain, we believe it's because the people who handle the insurance at a company are not necessarily the same people who handle the payroll at a company. So somewhere in there, there's a communication breakdown. And what we discovered recently while reviewing private plans as part of a project is that some of them had indeed remitted contributions to the authority and had done so for multiple quarters. Now, the good news is we didn't see any evidence of employees paying twice into both the private plan and the public plan. The employer had remitted contributions on behalf of the employees to the authority while also making it to the private plan. But to date, we haven't seen any employees paying twice in. So since we got these contributions that we shouldn't have, we refunded them back to the employers with the instructions that they need to remit them back to the employees if they did indeed withhold them from the employees. So in October, we refunded about $2.2 million of contributions to 35 employers, and that represented on average about 7 quarters of contributions. In November, we refunded another $292,000 of contributions to another 27 employers. And currently, right now, we are in the process of refunding the remaining estimated $189,000 of contributions to 135 employers, and that's expected to be done by the end of January 2026. I will note that before we issue a refund, we do confirm with an employer's private plan carrier that the private plan coverage is in force. Because if it's not in force, then they don't really have a private plan and they need to be contributing to the public plan. That doesn't really happen too often, but we do dot the I's and cross the T's and make sure that's in place, just so we're not transferring money back and forth even more than we are now. So what does this all mean for the actuarial update? Refunds are reported as a reduction to contribution revenue. They're not reported as, in other words, they're not reported as an expense. They're a revenue reduction because they shouldn't have been reported as revenue in the first place. So the $2.2 million will be a reduction to contribution revenue in the month of October and for the most recent quarter of contributions. Going forward, we are actively monitoring private plans, and we will be refunding any contributions paid to the authority erroneously by the following quarter after we've received them. And we will also begin to start exercising our authority to impose monetary penalties on repeat offenders, because there's no value add to this process if employers are sending contributions to us and we're sending them back for multiple quarters. So we're hoping if we impose a monetary penalty on them, that will incent them to stop doing so. So that's just some background information as to the presentation that Harindra is going to be giving for the most recent quarter. And you've already beaten me to my next line. So there is a question. Eva, sorry.
No, all good. So, upside down, here we go. I understand that a fine might assist or expedite people not paying when they don't have to pay. But out of curiosity, have you or your team calculated how much we've gained in interest by acquiring this found money that is not ours?
Well, that's a really interesting question. We have not run an interest check to see. So one thing I'm not sure Dave necessarily highlighted is we do see private plans coming in every quarter and have to return them every quarter. This was a specific initiative to really buckle down and make sure we did a full search and caught all of them. So we certainly have never intended to sort of hold on to the money for several quarters. And this was really just let's just buckle down and kind of identify the problem. So, our goal usually is to turn it right around. So I don't think that going forward, we would anticipate having much of an interest because we wouldn't be holding on to the money very much. And it really does cost a lot of extra work for the team, in addition to the concerns we have about what's actually happening on the employer side. So while there might be a little bit of interest, the fact that we're catching these issues faster and sending them back more quickly probably would undercut that value.
Then my recommendation, if it hasn't already been considered, is that whatever fine is imposed moving forward incorporates the loss of time or the payment that we're paying for the team who's investigating and doing their due diligence, so the burden's not on the program.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's one of those things. Um we're it's definitely very frustrating, honestly, because it is a diversion of time and resources. We are working to be reasonable and give people time to fix their errors, and then the original idea of this fine is just to be like, no, we're serious, and then escalate beyond that if we need to, as opposed to being perceived as being draconian from the start.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And
yeah, no, it would
I think
be
it's fair to assume that if we do implement a fine, the fine would be capturing a percentage of whatever we already have deposited rather than asking for an additional bill from this employer.
we'll have to look and see if that's something we have the authority to do. We were thinking about the $50 because it's been very effective with the non-compliant folks. Like just getting the $50 makes them pay attention.
Okay,
That's kind of why we went with that number. But we
okay,
can look and see if there's other ways of doing it.
okay.
Thank
Thank
you. Melissa.
Thanks, and thanks, Dave. I really appreciate the transparency that you really strive for in your presentation. So I just want to say thank you. My question is, in layman's terms, this money that you're returning belongs to the employees of the employer that was submitting it, correct? I just want to understand whose money are we holding by accident and giving it back to them?
So typically, an employer will withhold it from the employees and remit it to the authority. And then, so that's why when we send the money back, we instruct them, if you have indeed withheld it from the employees, then please pay it back to them.
Yeah.
Now with private plans, some employers might have just paid it on their own and they're not withholding it from the employees because it's a benefit to the company, for example. So it could be either or. Sorry.
Michael just jumped off mute.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just want to add. So we did launch a few audits that were we targeted the employers because of this circumstance where we saw that they were paying us even though they had a private plan. I believe we've done 3 total. Of those 3, none of them were involved in a situation where they were double deducting from the employees. It was a simple situation where they were paying their private plan carrier with the employees' money and then paying us out of their general funds. So that's a small sample size. We don't want to sort of say it's universal, but so far from what we've seen, it has been the employer's money that has been sent to us rather than the employees.
Okay. But that still, affects their bottom line, their cash flow. We critically need job creators, which is, I think, when this proposal was working its way through the legislature, one of the benefits was the ability for employers to offer this opportunity and increase the competitiveness of the field. And I just wanted to make that point that this is actual real money. This is somebody's money, and I'm glad we're returning it. And I'm thankful for the presentation. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We hear you.
I have a question, and Melissa, thank you so much, and Ava for raising those issues. My question is are we how are we educating those employers as you're not supposed to do this? So there's the fine, right? But how are we kind of getting in front of it, if we are, to avoid the expenditure of resources that it's taking all of you? Can we get in front of it a little more? Can we send them a notice? Can we educate
as we go through this program, things we didn't realize were going to be issues end up being issues. So when we originally approved private plans, there was a very small notice. You're approved on this date, that's basically it. Maybe some steps they have to take in the future. Now we're realizing what things can we take that moment to advise them about. So one of the things that we're now talking about is making it clear you do owe us contributions up until the private plan's effective, and then from that point onward, as long as that private plan's in place, you don't pay us contributions. We even added recently the fact that if you keep paying us, we may have penalties or fines associated with it, just to remind them of that. We also are planning in January, sending a notice to every single private plan, whether or not they've been having this issue or not, that are seeing this. If we see it too often, there may be penalties associated with that. I believe we're also potentially going to work on our communication for these refunds so that when we refund them the first and second time where there's no penalty yet, reminding them that if you keep doing this, there may be financial penalties. So between those three, I think, if they're reading their messages, they certainly should be aware of the issue as well as the penalties associated with it.
Michael's also reached out to the insurance community to say to the carriers, please follow up with your clients and tell them to stop.
Excellent.
We've also
Thank you.
communicated to payroll providers as well that if you have a client with a private plan, be aware that they shouldn't be making contributions to the authority anymore. So we're trying to communicate to all interested parties who can proactively act on that.
Thank you. Well done. I knew you guys would be on it.
So Harindra, now that we've given you a little bit of background as to why you're going to see more money going out than we usually see, Harindra can give his quarterly update.
I'm sharing my screen so hopefully everyone can see me.
You can see it.
Yeah, okay, great. So the purpose of my part of this meeting is to talk about the July through September quarterly update, so Q1 of the year. Just go to the next page. So the first piece of this is to compare actual relative to what we had projected before. The numbers are on an incurred basis, as we always present. So just keep that in mind as well. So in other words, it's net of refund of reserves and net of outstanding contributions. So the first row here, the beginning fund balance, we actually restated that figure at the beginning of the year to account for the fact that actual reserves for the outstanding contributions in respect of the prior quarter were 2.1 million lower. So basically the beginning of year fund balance is restated to 638.9 million instead of 641 million. In terms of the activity for the period, contributions earned were 111.4 million, investment income was 6.7 million, incurred claims were 122.2 million, other expenses 9.9 million, and then we did have that transfer from the operating reserve in July of 14.2 million. So the net overall net activity was 0.2 million, which is a little bit lower than what we had projected at 8 million. Driven by, as you can see here on the page, lower contributions earned. In part of that reflects refunds that Dave was talking about, and then also lower or higher incurred claims for this quarter. As usual, we continue to monitor this, continue to update our forecast for the year and so on. And very specifically, I'll mention that we're also digging into the contributions earned and to see if there is a longer term trend or if this is a temporary issue more related to this quarter. So more information to come, and we're certainly doing some more research into what's driving these numbers in this direction. So overall, the ending fund balance is 639.1 million. Again, it's net of outstanding contributions and outstanding claims payments, which is about 1.5% lower than what we had projected to be at the end of the quarter based on the prior projection at 649 million. The fund position continues to remain strong with net fund balance of 639 million. and continues to be within the target, within the funding metrics within the target levels for the funding metrics, so which are laid out below. Okay. This page just provides a graphical illustration of the numbers I just spoke about. The numbers on the left provide the actual results, so that shows the fund balance, the revenue, expense, the transfer, and so on. And the numbers on the right provide the prior projection that we had from July. This page provides the details. I wasn't planning to go through that detail, but you have it in the material. And also, if there are any questions, we can go through that. I did want to just bring this up. This came up in the Finance and Audit Committee meeting to look at the WARN Act data. So we've actually summarized it here based on what we could find. There is a question around integrity of the data because some of the numbers shown are not just specific to Connecticut, from what we understand. For example, David's Bridal, as you'll see in 2023. But the top bar graph does show the number of companies that issued notices of layoffs, and then the numbers on the bottom show the number of employees impacted that were reported. And then the table on the right show the top companies in that list. It's not all of them, but it's the top ones for each year. I believe it's over 100 that had over 100 people impacted. You'll see 2020 has the biggest number, and then 2023, I believe, that number might be skewed because we know from what we've researched, at least, that the number for David's Bridal is not just specific to Connecticut. But it is another piece of information that kind of asked to look at it as coming out of the Finance and Audit Committee meeting when we presented all of these numbers, and just wanted to share that with you as well. I'll move on to the financial projection for the full year. So we were looking at the quarterly numbers before. This is the full year projection for fiscal year 2026. What we have done, so what our prior numbers that we had shown ended up with an ending fund balance of 660 million based on net activity for the full year of 19.2 million. We revised that down based on what we saw this quarter. In particular, we updated the contributions and the claims projection. So we revised that down to 9.7 million of net activity, resulting in an ending fund balance of 648.6 million. So that's our current projection. We continue to monitor this regularly and update it every quarter as well. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Harinder. Very telling information. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any hands raised. Am I missing anything? No.
I'm not
Okay.
seeing anybody.
Okay, great. Walter, quarterly fund recovery update.
Good morning, Fran, and thank you. I hope everyone can see my slides here.
We can see your screen.
Thank you. So here are some updates regarding our continued fund recovery notices. This is our outreach to our non-compliant employers that are issued on those accounts that are either missing a quarterly return or a payment, or possibly both at the end of our grace period that directly precedes each calendar quarter. We have issued a total of 11 quarters of notice so far. We just issued our Q3 2025 notices in early November. And to date, we've sent out a total of 187,236 notices for 65,578 unique employers. And this, of course, crosses 11 different notice quarters in our system. Since we've been issuing our notices out, we have had payments remitted to us. We've had a total of 27,229 employer notices be paid. We have collected $9.178 million on these 11 quarters of notices, and that is for 14,305 unique employers. We see the largest volume of these employers getting compliant to our program with Q1 of 2023. And then we do see that number kind of offers a reminder, a wake up to those communities who then get more compliant with us as time goes on. But to date, we have collected $7.201 million in our outstanding base principal, $1.742 million in our penalty, and $234,305 in interest payments. Another impact of those notice outreach to our employer and sole proprietor community is that we've been able to continue to update employers who are no longer covered by the program. As of the end of November, we've updated the statuses or business status on over 34,059 accounts in our system to either mark as closed or no longer having any Connecticut employee presence. We continue to work with those employers directly through our case management system. However, we continue to work with our third parties, our Department of Labor, our Department of Revenue Services, and our TPAs that service the payrolls of our employer community. And to date, using those relationships, we have updated over 43% of those accounts, utilizing that data and information from them. And our notices serve as a reminder to that community, but we have also waived notices where no liability was due. So that means we have waived 86,222 notices for 36,549 unique employers. We do validate that no liability is owed to us and that sole proprietors have most likely enrolled in error or completed their 3-year period of enrollment with us. Additionally, as we previously reviewed, and starting in January of 2024, we did start to utilize a fund recovery vendor to help follow up on those debts as they aged in our system. Using that established relationship with Transworld Systems Incorporated, or TSI, as we refer to them, we have sent 87,979 notices for 24,349 unique employers to our vendor. Now I will move on to a breakdown of our notices. So here we can see our graph of notices by reporting quarter. We have our Q1 2023 notices all the way on the left and our most recent quarter, Q3 2025 on the right. Our purple is our closed notices and our blue is our open notices. We can see as the quarters have progressed of issuing those notices, we do see an overall trend down. We do have some outliers like Q2 of 2024. We did have a couple of TPAs that failed to process returns to us on time for their clients. But overall, we do see a trend down. And we do see that of the earlier quarters, we have the most closed notices versus our most recent quarter, Q3 2025, that has the most open. We did issue those notices early November, and these numbers are as November 30th. So we will see that progression that I look to provide updates on in the future for the board of directors. We can see of our 2023 notices, we do have 83% of those notices issued in 2023 closed, and only 17% remain open. And so after we're able to place our notices with TSI, we do continue to get that information to help validate, and we validate liability to us before waiving those notices or closing them in our system. And now we can see a summary, a roll-up of all of our notices together. Of our notices issued, we have waived 46% of those notices issued. We have collected payments in full on 14% of those notices. So that means 60% of our overall notices have been closed in our system. Currently have 13% open with Connecticut Paid Leave and 27% open with TSI, our fund recovery vendor. Now I will go to some updates from working with our vendor. We did establish that relationship with TSI in January of 2024. We gave them our first placement files. And then as of November, we have sent 87,979 notices for 24,349 unique employers to TSI. TSI provides the additional assistance on outreach, finding those debtors who are non-responsive to our efforts. They scour records, address verifications to help really connect them back to us so we can validate their liability and registration in our system. Since working with TSI, we've already directly received payments for 5,102 of those notices, totaling $1.752 million. And additionally, we've waived 32,518 of those notices after vetting that they no longer had any Connecticut employee presence or liability to our program. So together, we have closed 42.76% of those notices placed with TSI in our system. And then in early December, we did just send another quarter of placement files to TSI. Those were for Q2 of 2025, and that number was 11,573. So we do see a trend down for 1/4 of those notices that we look and hope to continue in the future as we find outreach and drive those employers back into our system. And so the next thing I'm going to highlight is some of our case management system inquiries. Our notices send people back to us. You go to our website, complete a contact us case to us, and here is a summary of that response. As of the end of November, we've received 28,073 inquiries or cases submitted to us from our notices since inception. And then as of the end of November, we've closed 27,916 of those cases. At the time, only having 157 cases open, being worked and reviewed by my finance team. We see the largest response from our notices is from our first 2 quarters of issuing those notices. And then we see a phase down into what we think is more of a steady state in these last few quarters. Below you can see a breakdown by quarter of the finance team activity. We're currently averaging 137 new cases per week being submitted to us, and we're able to action 181 cases per work as well, which equates to 39 per day. Sometimes a case does require multiple hands on it as we continue to work to get closure paperwork or additional information from those contacts. And then as you can see by the chart reading left to right, you can see a trend down in those averages of cases being created per quarter to us, cases being closed, and actions overall. As the team hasn't had to respond to those cases, I will provide a chart of the overall numbers of that. You can see the ebb and flow of cases. But another byproduct of these cases is the outreach to the community. People are sent into us, we have a chance to interact with them, and that means get contacts registered on accounts. And doing so with both the finance team and our contact center vendor, we've been able to add 8,527 contacts on 6,471 employer accounts that didn't have any contacts prior to those notices being issued. And now I will go into a chart that shows the trends of notices. We can see when we started issuing our notices in Q3 of 2023, we had the largest responses of those employers and sole proprietors coming into us. The blue was much higher than that purple. We were able to catch up on it in subsequent quarters and kind of enter into more of a steady state in the 2025 quarters. With these lower volumes of cases being created in our system and needing to be worked, it has provided us and the finance team in particular the opportunity to do some other outreaches and ensure we're getting all of those employers that should be registered in our program. It has also allowed us to do some proactive reviewing of the accounts, identifying trends of accounts enrolled in error, and then actioning those in our system to ensure we aren't issuing notices in error to employers that should have never existed. Now I will go into some of our outreach to get employers registered in our program. So in January 2025, we did start restart our outreach to accounts who are enrolled in the Connecticut Department of Labor for unemployment insurance filing, who should be in our system as well. In January, we sent out 1,455 mailers. Then in April, we sent an additional 2,393. In July, we sent out 945. And then in October, we sent out letters to whom we had already sent letters to that didn't respond to us, didn't register, as well as an additional 438 new employers who existed in DOL. So we've sent mailers out to a community of 55,221 accounts. And as of the end of November, 1,353 of those accounts are registered in our program. That didn't exist before. Oh, my apologies. Another result of this outreach is sometimes employers are registered under the incorrect FEIN in our system or the incorrect FEIN in the Department of Labor system. And so we've been able to work with those employers, validate the FINs using IRS paperwork, and either update that in our system or have them update it within the Department of Labor system as well. So we do see 72 accounts have been updated or corrected in the Connecticut Paid Leave system and 40 within Connecticut Department of Labor. We have reached a response rate through these outreaches of 28%. We have gotten in $1.24 million from this outreach. I did give an update in May, and since that May outreach, this number is approximately 800,000 more. So we have seen some progress on that outreach. And to see a breakdown of what periods those are for, we do see of the $1.241 million, the largest volume are in the 2024-2025 periods, but we do continue to see contributions come in for those periods of 2021 through 2023 as we continue to be trying to be equitable and fair to the whole employer community, ensuring solvency and ensuring that we can make sure our accounts are up to date with all the employers that should be registered. Pause here for some questions. I don't think I see any hands. Oh, stop sharing. Okay, all right. No one has any questions? Thank you very much, Fran.
Thank you, Walter. Anybody have any questions? Well, we're going to be moving right along to committee reports. Mike Soltis, Policy and Personnel.
Good morning. Our committee did not meet in December. It is meeting in January. Also want to let everybody know that I'll be leaving the Policy and Personnel Committee, and Fran has appointed David Salazar Austin to be the chair. So there'll be a change in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and welcome, David. Thank you for taking it on.
Of course, and thanks, Mike, for all his work on the committee.
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to Ava, Outreach and Engagement. All right, maybe
Go to
Ava.
finance
Oh, there
and
she
then
is.
Circle back. Oh, no, here she is. Sorry. Ava, you're off mute, but we can't hear you.
Ava, are you there?
All right, let's go to finance and circle back.
Holly?
Yes, so I am still your finance chair. I know that the other two committees have had changes, and I'm happy to continue to serve in that role. The committee did meet in November, and we decided to continue the meeting cadence of meeting every month. The committee received the actuarial quarterly update that was presented today, as well as an update on private plans overpayment refunds and the presentation of our regular financial reports, which Dave is going to share with you now
Great.
or
Dave,
shortly.
take it away.
Oh, thank you. Hello again, everybody. We'll be briefly going over the results for October and a preview for November. And so for the month of October, for our operating account, our results were a positive $2.6 million, and we were $376,000 over budget. Our expenses were $1.4 million. That's a little higher than usual, but that's because this is one of the months when we had 3 payrolls instead of 2. So that's the biggest driver for the increase. Year to date, our results are, including the redesignation transfer, a negative $10.6 million. And we are currently with that almost $1.3 million ahead of budget for the year for operations. Expenses typically continue to be the typical, the major ones continue to be the typical ones: payroll, software licenses, contact center outreach, etc. For bond expense this month, we didn't have any last month, so we made up for it this month and paid 2 months. So that's why we had a negative variance of $80,000 this month. Year to date, our spending has been just under $235,000. Our variance is negative at about $66,000. It'll probably be negative going forward for the next few months. But at the current spending rate we have, we will still have bond money available by the end of the fiscal year. We currently have $1.2 million, and we'll have a positive amount in there, like I said, by the end of the fiscal year. Moving on to contribution activity, October was the month that we did receive contributions, so that's why we have a positive activity of over $58 million. We did have a negative variance for the month of just over $7.9 million. That was driven by 2 things. Number one, we did have a negative variance of $2.7 million for benefits paid, as they continue to be higher than what we budgeted. Benefits paid for the month were almost $47.9 million. That we reimbursed Aflac for 5 weeks this month, so that's why the dollar amount may be higher than usual to what you're seeing. That equates to $9.6 million a week, and that has been the running average for October and the prior month before it. So it's been pretty steady for the past couple of months. Contributions, most of the contributions for the quarter came in October. We got almost $110 million. That was less than what we were expecting. As Harindra mentioned before, that was $5.4 million. Part of that, as I indicated previously, was due to the private plan refunds that we sent out, which was larger than normal. The other big piece of the money coming in was the investment income. That was at $2 million, and that was higher than budget by $113,000. Our investment rate currently is about 4.2%, and that's higher than what we budgeted, although we are expecting that to go down in the next month. As some of you might be aware, the Fed's announced a rate drop yesterday, and that typically affects the short-term investment fund that the authority invests in. Year to date, our activity is almost $64.4 million. That is $17.3 million less than budget. And the year-to-date reason is the same as the month-to-date reason. Benefit payments are higher than what we budgeted a few months ago, and contribution revenue did come in less than expected by about $7 million. Again, in part due to the private plan refunds we had issued. Since contributions did come in this quarter, I did want to show everybody how they compare to prior quarters in terms of trends. If you look at the green columns, those are the contributions coming in this year. And so what happens is the largest quarter for the authority in terms of contributions coming in is the first calendar quarter of the year. And then it subsequently decreases after that. And the biggest driver of that is because as more employees reach the FICA cap, then there is less contributions coming into the authority. And we've seen that trend year after year. The green column on that's to the right shows the most recent contributions for the quarter, which were $111.4 million. That is $1.6 million more than the same quarter last year, or 1.4%. Year to date, we are seeing $9 million more than we received at this time last year, or 2.5%. So the amount continues to increase. We have seen this year that the percentage increase is lower than we've seen in prior periods. Like Harindra said earlier, we are doing a deep dive and looking for trends and seeing why the amount is lower than expected. We haven't seen any significant changes in the number of employers making contributions, but it looks like preliminarily that perhaps the salary amount didn't increase as expected. So we are monitoring that, like I said, doing a deeper dive and seeing if that is going to be a trend, a long-term trend going forward. Having said all that, the trust fund itself is at over $650 million as of the end of October. And as Harindra mentioned, we are meeting all the funding metrics for solvency. So we're in a good place for that. Preliminarily looking at November, expenses were at $1.2 million. Nothing really unusual there. Benefit payments for the month of November were at $39.7 million. That does equate to a $9.9 million per weekly average. So it did go up compared to the prior 2 months, and was the same average it was about 3 months ago. So we'll see how that plays going forward. As the end of the year and the holiday season approaches, we do typically see a decrease in benefit payments. So we'll let you know if that plays out for the coming year. Contributions for November was a light month as expected, $621,000, and investment income came in at over $2 million. So with this month, we are starting to provide projections for the fiscal year end. So this is the first month we're doing that for this fiscal year. For the operating account, we expect our results to be, if you include the redesignation transfer, it'll be a negative $12.8 million. We have budgeted a negative $14.4 million. So that results in a positive variance of just under $1.6 million. The main drivers of that positive variance are payroll and related expenses, because positions are starting later than were budgeted. We're filling temporary vacancies that hadn't been budgeted at the time, and our pension rate that we're paying, the actual rate is lower than what we budgeted. So all that is creating a positive variance for our payroll and related expenses. And we also have some positive variances in IT consultants and professional services, because we're just not spending what we had budgeted a few months ago. And as far as the contribution activity for the month, our activities, we are projecting to be at just under $13.8 million. That is a $1.5 million positive budget. Like we mentioned before, we are monitoring that closely because we are we do have a negative variance for benefits paid of negative $7.5 million. We are expecting contributions as of now to be ahead of budget by $7.8 million, even though we're running a negative variance right now year to date. But we are looking at that. We are doing the deeper dive. And as we get more information in terms of economic trends and our own data for contributions, we will be adjusting that accordingly going forward. So stay tuned for that as we get more information. And we'll expect that to change for sure. So that's our update for the authority in terms of finance through the period of October and November. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Dave. Does anybody have any questions for Dave on his presentation? No? Okay, with that, Ava, we're going back to you. I know you have
My
internet
internet's
issues.
working. The issues gave
There
me
you
enough
go.
time to put some lipstick on.
There you go.
So the Outreach and Engagement Committee met last month. We met in November, and I think it's worth acknowledging that Molly Weston Williamson, our chair from the very beginning, due to her new role as vice chair of the board, decided to step down as chair of the Outreach and Engagement Committee. So congratulations, Molly. You are awesome. We are happy to hear that we are not losing you. And I just wanted to thank Fran and the board for your confidence in me to be the new chair of the Outreach and Engagement Committee. I think most of you know that as an organizer, this is a committee that is near and dear to me. I know all committees are equal in importance, but it's very exciting to be given that confidence. The committee met and we discussed updates. Some highlights were videos that the staff recently made in order to promote paid leave, which were phenomenal. Definitely check out the website, folks, to see all those updates. Very, very cool. The staff also, through their first engagement, or they had a particular name, and sorry that it's escaping me, but they did a fair where they are opening it up to a multitude of nonprofits that they've been collaborating with. Rather than just attending, which they do all the time, the paid team leave through one, and it was a great success. So it was really good to hear that. And we also reviewed the cadence of our meeting schedule. So we switched from monthly to every other, and it was unanimous that it's working for us. It's not interfering with any of the voting that is necessary for our board meetings, and we're going to continue on. So onward and upward to 2026. And back to you, Erin. Thank you.
Ava, thank you so much. We are going to move right along to item 6, to Erin providing her CEO report.
Thank you so much, Fran. I'd like to echo the thanks to Molly and Mike for their time serving as the chairs of their respective committees, and thank them for their continued service to the board. We're not losing either of them. And thank you to Ava and David for taking on the mantle of leadership for the committees going forward. I do want to let you all know that we'll be sending out the 2026 notices or calendar invites for the meetings in 2026. Please note that the February meeting will actually be on Wednesday, February 11th. This is a change from our normal cadence, but the second Thursday of February, which is when we would normally meet, is a state holiday. So we're pushing the day up a bit. And Amber reminded me this morning that in November and December, we'll have the normal adjustments to account for the holidays for finance. I'm pleased to report that we will be welcoming 3 new community education coordinators in 2026 as a result of our RFP. The Central Connecticut Chambers of Commerce, the Community Action Agency of New Haven, and the Greater Bridgeport Area Prevention Program all responded to the RFP. They all signed their contracts within the last couple of weeks, and we will be getting them trained up and ready to go in January and February. So we're really excited to add that geographic diversity and sort of subject area diversity to the CEC program. 2025 went by really quickly. We did a lot over the past year. As you know, we are already looking forward to a very busy 2026, but I do want to take the moment right now to thank all of you for your service to the board. We appreciate all the time and attention and your willingness to accept our extra phone calls and efforts. So thank you very much, and I do wish you all a happy and healthy holiday season. So that's it for me.
Erin, thank you. And on that note, I would like to commend the entire staff for a job well done this year. It's been a really, really busy year, and I've enjoyed my time on the board working with all of you. I'm really grateful to the board members for always stepping up and being available to the team. And Mike, I am disappointed, but I'm so glad you're going to be staying around. And Molly, welcome. I'm looking forward to working with you. Ava, thank you for taking on the role of outreach and engagement. And Dave as well, I'm looking forward to working with you as well. So Molly, I think I mentioned you already. I'm looking forward to that. I'm so glad that we're not losing anyone. And I'm looking forward to a very peaceful, prosperous, and exciting 2026. And I hope you all have a lovely holiday season. I wanted to just share that before we went into executive session, just in case we lost anybody along the way. So the reason that we will be going into executive session shortly is to enable to discuss the CEO's performance for 2025. So before we do that, I have a few instructions just to make sure we all get there together. We will need an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the voting members present at this meeting to go into the executive session. And when we do go into the executive session, you're going to be leaving the Zoom, and you all have the Microsoft Teams link. It should be at the top of your inbox. Stephanie sent that with an agenda. No voting will occur during the executive session. And when it's over, you'll close your Teams link and go back into the Zoom. Once we are back in the Zoom, our regular meeting will resume. Okay, so now I'm going to ask the board for a motion to enter into the executive session pursuant to CGS 1-206A for the purpose of a discussion regarding the performance evaluation of an employee. The reason for this executive. Okay, perfect.
I'm sorry about that.
No, thank you.
I'm sorry,
Thank you
guys.
so
I
much.
did not catch that. Can you just repeat that for me one more time for the minutes?
May I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
We've got Mike and Andrea.
Thank you.
Got it. A second?
Second.
Got it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. It is exactly 9:59. We will leave the Zoom meeting and go into the Teams meeting.
Okay, Steph, we can go ahead and share the executive session slide.
Amber, do you have it? Because it doesn't.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right now.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like our board members are returning from executive session.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are back in session. The time is 10:24. And I'm going to ask if we have any old business to discuss. Any new business to discuss? All right, I will ask for a motion to adjourn this, our final meeting of 2025.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Isha. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Eleanor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Wonderful. The motion carries. It's 10:24. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. Stay warm, everyone. Thank you all for your service. And again, thanks to the team, the staff, for a great year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Erin, great job. Thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you. Have wonderful holidays, everyone.